Hello everyone, welcome to Marketing Profile for Advertising and Promotion. This is Chapter 7. In this chapter, let's talk about how to establish objectives and budget for the promotional program. Okay? Establishing objectives and budgeting for the promotional program. Okay? These are the learning objectives. Okay, I'll let you read that. And why do we want to have objectives, right? What's the purpose of having an objective, right, in your promotional program? There are much value in the objectives, right? And for one of the value of objective is that you can facilitate communications, right? Objectives facilitate coordination of the various groups. You have different group of people, functional groups of people working together. So you want to have set objective so as to coordinate their efforts. Also, it helps with planning and decision making. It guides decision making and development of the integrated marketing communication or AMC plan. Also, objective shows a measurement and evaluation of results. Objectives can provide a benchmark to measure success or failure. Otherwise, how would you know if your program is successful or not? Okay? A good objective is measurable. So you can measure to see if you achieved objective in the plan. Okay? This is an example here. Objective, right? Gillette developed this Venus for female shaving solutions. Their objective for this campaign are other than generating sales. They're not really here to generate the sales per se. Okay? The goal was to establish Gillette as the go-to choice for women's shaving needs. The go-to choice. In other words, Gillette want to be in the evoked set in the minds of ladies, women who have a need to shave. So, and maybe once they more and more women know about this Gillette Venus, they probably want to generate the sales later on. But for now, the objective is get people to know. Right? That's setting objectives. In determining integrated marketing communication objectives, you need to know two things. There are marketing objectives and there are communications objectives, IMC objectives. These two are not always the same. Okay, are not always the same. For marketing objectives, you identify what is to be accomplished by the overall marketing program. Okay? You define in terms of specific measurable outcomes in marketing sales. Okay? It's quantifiable, realistic, and attainable. That's your marketing objective. Right? Your IMC communication objective is a statement of what various aspects of IMC program will accomplish. It's based on communication tasks. Right? Communications tasks required to deliver appropriate messages to a target audience. Okay? So it's you can see it's a subset of your marketing objectives. Okay? Also, your objectives. So basically, there's a difference between sales versus communications objectives. Right? Your objective is sales, is one set. If it's communication, there's another set. Right? In sales-oriented objectives, your goal is to sell, right? Sell your product, right? You aim to increase sales of product service. It requires an economic justification. You have to bring in the money, dollars, right? You compare options based on the return on investment, or ROI, right? Based on your return on investment. How much you generate versus how much you spend, okay? And the specific return, but difficult to determine. Keep that in mind. very specific return difficult to determine. Excuse me. A number of companies, such as Procter & Gamble, decided to increase their advertising budgets in an attempt to bolster sales. Right? They want to increase sales. They want to spend their advertising budget. Okay? And there are problems with the sales objectives. A successful implementation requires all marketing elements to work together. Right? Also, advertising has a carryover effect of advertising. Remember we talked about this? Money spent on advertising do not have immediate impact on sales. You run an advertisement today or this month, your sales will not be generated this month, maybe next month or 2 months later or next quarter. Okay? There is a carryover effect of advertising. Okay? It's also difficult to determine the precise relationship between advertising and sales. You cannot establish a precise relationship between advertising and sales. Okay? One of the forerunners, early pioneers in advertising, once said something like this. I think his name is Wanamaker. Wanamaker is one of the tycoons in American business history. I think he has a building still in Philadelphia today. It's a Wanamaker building. He said something like this. He said, I know half of my advertising dollar works, but the problem is I don't know which half. I don't know which half. Only half works, but don't know which half is working. Okay? So also the sales objectives do not offer much guidance for planning and developing promotional programs. Okay, so these are the problems with the sales objectives you have to keep in mind. Okay, there are many factors influencing sales. Many factors influencing sales. Right? Look at this chart here. Sales in the middle. Right? The technology, especially new technology, affects sales, right? The economy, overall economy of the nation, of the region affects your sales. Right? Your product quality affects your sales, right? Your quality, right? And the price affects sales. Right? If you lower the price, you probably sell more. But if you have to raise your price, you cannot sell as much. Right? Your distribution, your channel of distribution affects your sales. Maybe one of his retailers stops carrying your product. It affects your sales. Your advertising and promotion affects your sales. And your competition, your competitors affect your sales, right? And that is totally out of your control. Okay, your competitor may have a huge discount or a campaign going on, and then take away a lot of your sales. So there are many factors influencing sales. Keep that in mind. Okay. Also, where there are political situations where sales objectives are appropriate, it's good or it's appropriate to have sales objective. When you attempt to induce immediate behavior response from prospective customers, sales objectives are appropriate. When you want direct response advertising, evaluated based on sales, of course, that's appropriate. Retail advertising, you should have a sales objective. When advertising plays a dominant role in your firm's marketing program and other factors are relatively stable, then sales objective may be a good idea. Okay. Let's talk about communication objectives. Sales objectives versus communication objectives. Communication objectives, when you have a promotion plan, if you set your communications objective, your goal is to achieve certain communication success, you provide relevant information. Okay, it's not about sales directly. You want to provide information You want to create favorable impression toward the brand. Now that may not translate into sales dollars right away, right? You want to create a favorable impression, good image, right? Consumers pass through the 3 stages in this, right? At cognitive, or thinking, affective, or feeling, good feeling, right? And then cognitive, or behavioral, right? Only cognitive or behavioral purchase intentions may result in sales. And if they just have the thought or a feeling about your product, that does not translate into sales, not yet at least, right? So that's communication objectives. Right? Communications effects is like a pyramid, works like a pyramid, right? Advertising promotion will accomplish lower level objectives, but we can use users to determine the promotional objectives for established brands. Okay? If you look at this pyramid, it's like in your setting your communications objective or start this campaign, you may initially say get 90 people to be aware of your product, right? 90% awareness, right? Then out of 90%, maybe only 70% will develop good knowledge about their product or offering and or comprehension, right? 70%. And of the 70%, maybe only 40% will like your product, will have a liking, start to like your product, okay? And then just because they like your product doesn't mean they're going to prefer. Only 25% may prefer your product over other brands, okay? And then in that 25%, only 20% may start to give it a try. Go with a trial and try out your product. Okay? And only 5% may eventually become a regular user of your product. They're going to buy and rebuy, purchase and repurchase, become a loyal customer. Okay? That's how communication objectives work. Okay? There are also problems with communications objectives, right? It's difficult to translate sales goals into communication objectives. Okay? Promotional planners have difficulty estimating what constitutes adequate level of awareness. How much awareness is adequate? Right? Knowledge. What is the adequate level of knowledge? Liking. How do you measure liking? Right? Preference or conviction. It's hard to measure that. Right? Also, there's no set formulas or guidelines for setting that. That's a problem with the communications objectives. Okay? GFK, this consulting company, had this purchase funnel that shows similar, the situation here. It's like the consumers are like going through a big funnel, right? On top is awareness. Lots of people become aware of your product, right? And then smaller set of people will become familiar with the product, and then even smaller will develop an opinion, an image of your product. Hopefully, it's a good opinion, favorable opinion or good image. And then even smaller will consider your product, put your brand into their consideration set. And then even smaller will make or model intention, okay? And then even smaller will go shopping for your product. And the smallest percentage here, they will purchase your product, okay? So this is what we call this a GFT purchase funnel to show the effects of communication to sales. Okay? In an approach to set the objective is called DAGMAR. DAGMAR, approach to setting objectives. DAGMAR stands for defining advertising goals for measured advertising results. Defining advertising goals for measured advertising results, DAGMAR, right? discipline your test, remember and understand this very well. Communication effects are logical basis for advertising goals and objectives to measure success or failure. Okay? There are some communications tasks you have to perform. Communication task is performed by and attributed to advertising, okay, including the following stages: awareness, comprehension, conviction, and action. Okay, that's under the Dagmar, right? Dagmar. Okay. Also, characteristic objectives. It should be concrete and measurable task. Okay? It should be well-defined target audience. You should have a well-defined target audience. Which audience, group people, is what your communication intend to reach. Okay? Benchmark and degree of change sought. You know the benchmark and the degree of change you're seeking. Benchmark measures determine the target market's present position regarding response stages. That's benchmark measures. You have the specified time period in which goals must be accomplished. Okay, you have a time period. You want to achieve this goal this quarter, this month, or this year. Okay. There are criticism of Dagmar, though, right? Among the criticism, problem with the response hierarchy. Okay, they say consumers do not always follow this sequence. Okay, they do not always follow this sequence, the response hierarchy. And also the sales objectives. Some only view advertising as effective if it increases sales. Some say, hey, if it doesn't increase sales, it's not effective. Okay? There are arguments for that. And also practicality and cost. Right? It's difficult to implement and expensive. It's difficult to implement and expensive. So, and inhibition of creativity. They're saying that if you emphasize on Dagmar, you impose too much structure and stifles creativity. These are creative people. Right? They say, hey, you're stifling creativity, inhibiting creativity. So that's not good, right? We should encourage creativity. Okay? These are the criticism of Dagmar. Okay? And this chart shows that the change to digital and social media marketing has changed the consumer decision-making process. Right? We are not going linear anymore. We changed from linear to allowing the consumer to enter or leave at any stage, as denoted in this graphic from Performix, the company. Okay, so in the process, the center is the participant. Okay? You may go to different channels. Okay, you may different ways to access your content. Right, there are many ways for consumers to participate. Okay? And then there are different ways for the message to be amplification. Right? So the consumer decision making is not linear anymore. It goes straight line. Right? Consumers may enter or leave at any stage, okay? Making it more interesting, intriguing, and more complicated. Okay? There's Performix, the agency. Okay? There are also problems in setting objectives. To set objectives, there are problems with that. Right? Improving promotional planners' use of objectives. Objectives should be specific and measurable. Okay? Can your objective has to be specific and measurable? Many companies fail because top management only has abstract idea of what the AMC program is supposed to do. So that's a problem here. Okay? And also, traditionally, advertising has been considered a major way of communicating with target audience. The traditional way. Traditional model of planning, for example, this Dagmar traditional way model of planning have been dominant. Okay. This chart shows the traditional advertising-based view of marketing communications. It's just in theory, right? And basically, they're saying that how advertising acts on consumers. And the advertising through the media, okay, in the beginning, okay, and goes one way. It's a linear advertising through the media and works on consumers' attitudes, okay, enhance your consumers' knowledge, right, change their preference, hopefully will lead to their conviction, and then lead to their for purchase behavior. That's a traditional advertising-based view of marketing communications, just so you know, okay? Also, other problems with setting objectives is that outside-in planning start with the customer and builds backwards to the brand. Instead of starting with the manufacturer or brand, it's like the outside-in planning, a new way. They start with customer and build backward to the brand, right? And there's something called like a zero-based communications planning. They determine what tasks need to be done and which marketing communication functions should be used and to what extent, and then focus on the task to be done and search for best ideas and media to accomplish it. So this is outside in and zero-based communications planning. That's a newer way of doing things. Okay? And setting objects, and also there are new issues in new ways, new theories on consumer decision journey. Yeah, in social consumer decision journey, and they go through this process of monitor, respond, amplify, and lead. Okay, so instead of the traditional way, one linear way. They say, in social consumers through using social media to design MC program to target your audience, you should do it this way. You monitor consumers, see what they're doing. You respond to their needs or requests or call, and amplify that. Okay, make it bigger, more significant, and lead them to your product offering. Okay, so that's a newer, current, contemporary social consumer decision journey. Okay. This one shows the social consumer decision journey. To monitor, respond, amplify, and lead the changes in our sentiment or behavior. Right, and these are in the y-axis is the steps in the consumer decision journey. Right? And what you need to consider from considering, evaluated, buy, experience, advocate, and bond. Okay? When you monitor social channels for trends, insights, okay, and you can do that. You can do that throughout. Okay? When consumers are considering and evaluating or buy, okay, this is when you should respond to consumers' comments, right? You may manage the crisis that may happen, okay? And then when consumers are going through the steps in experiencing, advocating, and bonding, that's where your customer service should kick in. Okay? So customer service is kicking in. Okay? When you're in the amplified stage, you want to amplify current positive activity and tone, okay? And you can do referrals and recommendations to correspond to consumers considering evaluation and purchase. And you want to, when they're trying to set up the experience or experience your product, you want to foster communities, build brand communities. Okay? And then, of course, to build brand advocacy to develop or gain loyal customers. And when you try to lead changes in sentiment or consumer behavior, and when they're considering a brand, you want to increase the brand content awareness. Right? When they're evaluating, you want to inform them of product launches. Right? And when they're trying to buy, when they're buying your product, you should offer targeted deals, offers, and then post-purchase, you should acquire customer input to have them make them have a better experience, so they will advocate and build bond with your brand. Okay? Those are the strategies in the social consumer decision journey. Okay? Next, let's talk about establishing and allocating promotional budget. Okay, set a budget, right? There are ways to set to establish budget. It's a two-way interaction. Okay? It's often viewed as expense, rather than investment. They view promotion as expense rather than investment. Right? Sometimes budgeting for promotion cuts into profits. That's what they think. Okay? You have the established budget using economic theories and marginal analysis, or contribution margins. If you don't remember what contribution margin is, you probably should revisit your accounting or accounting 201 or financial accounting, or managerial accounting to remember that. Okay, what's contribution margin? Contribution margin is difference between the total revenue generated by account brand and the total variable costs. Okay, revenue less variable cost, and then what is left? What's left is you to pay for your, direct cost. Right? That's contribution margin, contributing to your fixed cost, not variable cost. Right? Obviously, for any companies or any managers, you have to make sure that you're going to cover, you have enough money, other than to pay for or cover your fixed costs, then you'll be able to make money, make a profit. Right? That's why it's called contribution margin. Contribute to your profit, net profit. And these are there's some conclusions or observations, on research of advertising in a recession. During an economic recession, should you have advertising or increase your advertising budget or reduce your advertising budget? Right? Here are some conclusions from research. Right? One, advertising is strongly related to economic cycles across major world economies. Advertising related to economic cycles. Okay, we have seen that. The single most compelling reason for cutting back on advertising during this recession is that the sales during a recession are likely to be lower than they would be during an expansion. That's why they want to cut on that. Right? That's the single most compelling reason for the cut. There is a strong, consistent evidence that the cutting back on advertising can hurt sales during and after recession. Keep in mind, right? You're a manager, your company is the economy is in recession, your business is not doing well, and if you cut your advertising, it hurts your sales during the recession, and it's even worse after recession. It still hurts. No cutting back on advertising during a recession could increase your sales during and after recession. Okay? Do not cut back during the recession. That will increase your sales now and after recession. Companies that increased advertising during a recession experienced higher sales, market share, or earnings during and after recession. So if you can manage to increase your advertising during the recession, after the recession is over, you can expect to get higher sales, higher share, and more earnings. Okay? Most companies tend to cut back on advertising during recession, reducing noise and increasing the effectiveness of advertising of the firm that advertises. So these are some good conclusions from research on advertising during the session. Keep that in mind. Okay? It's about establishing the budget, right? Marginal analysis, right? Increase in advertising promotion expenditure increases sales and gross margins to a point, but after which they level off. You have to keep that in mind. Okay? You increase advertising, the sales will increase, but only to a point. Okay? There are weaknesses here, right? Assume that the sales are direct measure of advertising and promotion efforts, or this is determined solely by advertising and promotion. So that's the problem, weaknesses of marginal analysis. Okay? This one shows the marginal analysis, right? How do you understand this chart here? This the dashed blue line here on top. This is your sales, and on x-axis is your advertising promotional budget. How much you spend on advertising, okay? And then there's a fixed cost of the sales is on top, on y-axis, of course, right? And when you start more on advertising, you'll see a rapid increase in sales, like this part here. And then after a certain point, it starts to level off. You spend more on advertising, the sales does not increase, unfortunately. Okay? But the advertising expenditure right here from the solid white line, solid red line, or solid, I don't know, burgundy or red. Okay. Solid red line here, right? This is your advertising expenditure. You're just spending more. It's straight line, right? So what is your gross margin? Remember gross margin? Gross margin is your sales revenue minus your variable cost, right? Variable cost. So this is resultant. Dashed blue reduced by the solid red will give you this dashed red line right here. This your gross margin also increases upon increase in advertising spending, that then gonna level off. Okay, level off. Then what is profit then? Yeah, profit is your gross margin minus your advertising cost. Okay, the solid blue line is your profit. Okay, you can see your profit initially actually will go down. Right, it will go down as you spend more on advertisement because there's cash outlay, right? And then your profit is going up because of the sales brought in by advertising, right? Only to a point, to this point A. After which, as you increase more your advertising, the profit actually will go down. Okay, so you don't want to go down below here. So this point A here is the optimum point as to how much you should spend on advertising. Okay, so this is the value of this marginal analysis. Okay? Of course, this will be different, varies from company to company. And also there are budget models, sales budgeting models here. Right? There's a sales response model called a concave downward function model, and also S-shaped response model. In the concave model, I'll show you the slide, the chart in just a second. As the amount of advertising increases, its incremental value decreases. This one's called concave downward. In S-shaped response curve, you must meet certain budget level. Then additional increments of expenditures result in increased sales, and then has no additional benefit. Okay, so this is limited to use to practitioner though for direct applications. Okay. Here on the left is concave downward response curve. Okay. You increase your advertising expenditure, the incremental sales, right, goes up, and then level off. Okay. In S-shaped response functions, you increase your advertising expenditures, right? The incremental sales goes up, and then slowly up, and then rapidly up, and then slow down. Okay. These are two advertising sales response function model. Okay. And there are additional factors in budget setting. When using sales as a direct measure of response, various situational factors may have an effect. Okay. Also, in percentage of sales method, advertising sales effects may be reversed. Okay, Right? Here are the this table shows the factors influencing advertising budgets. Okay, you have product factors, right? And this column shows the relationship of advertising versus sales, right? You have, like say, a basis of differentiation that may be a positive impact. Hidden product qualities, positive. Emotional buying motives, positive. Okay? And the purchase frequency, it could be curvilinear. Right? There are also market factors, the stages of a product life cycle. Okay? Introduction stage, growth stage, there's a positive relationship. Right? Maturity decline stage is negative. Right? In the case of inelastic demand, it's positive. Right? Market share is negative. Competition, active, concentrated, but competition, right? All positive. Here are the customer factors, strategy factors, and the cost factors. Okay? So these are the factors influencing advertising budgets. Okay? So if you see, for example, like concentration of users, you should increase your budget. Okay? And also there are factors considered in budgeting setting. Changes in advertising strategy or creative approach is a big factor, right? Competitive activity or spending levels, that are big factors. Profit contribution or other financial target, okay? Level of previous year spending, senior management dollar allocation, that is not that important. Volume share projections, not that important. Okay? So projections, assumptions on media cost increase, okay? Important factors. Okay? Modification in media strategies, not too much. Okay? Also, as to how you should set your budget, there are different approaches. There's a top-down approach. Top-down approaches. There's this budget set at the top management, and passed down to various departments. Right? There's a affordability method. Right? You determine the amount to be spent in various areas, how much you can spend. Arbitrary allocations. Budget is determined by management on the basis of what is felt to be necessary. Kind of like arbitrary. Mm-hmm. So this is top-down budgeting, top management set the spending limit, and promotion budget set to stay within the spending limit. Okay? Bottom-up budgeting, you set your promotion objectives, right? And then you determine what kind of activities are needed to achieve this objectives. Okay? And then what are the costs of promotional activities you just specified. Then the total promotion budget is approved. Okay? This is the bottom-up budgeting. Okay? And the percentage of sales method, basically advertising promotion budget based on the sales of product, based on a straight percentage or percentage of unit cost. Some companies use that. Okay? There are advantages of that. It's financially safe, keeps the ad spending within reasonable limit, is simple, straightforward, easy to implement, and generally stable. Okay? But disadvantage using percentage of sales method is that the cause and effect relationship between advertising and sales does not allow for changes in strategy. Okay? And also it may have severe misappropriation of funds. It's difficult to employ for new products, and there's a decreased sales results in decreased budget. And so these are the disadvantages of using percentage of sales method. Here is an example of like a method one, straight percentage sales. Okay? If this is your sales, total dollar sales, $1 million, and the straight percentage of sales is like 10% is 100,000. The advertising budget is 100,000. Okay, and this is the measure two, percentage of unit cost. This is our sales. This is percentage of unit cost. The cost per product, to manufacture is like say it's $4. The unit cost allocated to advertising, let's say it's $1, and then you can forecast you're going to sell 100,000 units, and your advertising dollar 100 units times that dollar each give you $100,000 in advertising budget. Okay, so there's two ways to determine your budget. Also, there is another method called the competitive parity method. Competitive parity method. Basically, your budget amount is established by matching your competitors' percentage of sales expenditures. However much they spend, you want to spend the same. Okay? Clipping service. Yeah, clip competitors' ads from local print media. Clip competitors' ads from local print medium, so you have an idea. Right? There is also the ROI budgeting method, using ROI, return on investment. Your advertising promotions are considered investments and expected to earn a certain return. So you set your ROI and then determine how much you want to spend. Okay? And this chart shows that competitors' advertising outlays, do not always hurt. Okay? Basically, this is your competitors' advertising affects your sales. Does it affect your sales positively or negatively? And then this is your advertising affects your competitor sales, either positively or negatively. Okay? If your competitor's advertising affects your sales positively, and your advertising affects competitor sales negatively, that's advertiser's advantage. Okay? Your brand is stronger than your competing brand. You rely on advertising rather than other promotional tools. You should attack with your advantage. Okay? Attack with your advantage. Okay? And if both are negative, that's called zero-sum competition. The brands are strong substitute for each other. The market is not growing. You should increase advertising to defend your position. Okay? And then when your advertising affects competitors positively and they affect you negatively, we call that competitors' advantage. Yeah, the competing brand is stronger than yours. You should find a niche position, improve your product quality, use different promotional tools rather than advertising. You should decrease advertising in this case. Okay? If you're affecting others positively and they affect you positively, it's a symbiotic competition. You both are very strong. Both brands are strong and complement each other. The market is growing. You should maintain modest advertising in this case. Okay? This one shows you how you're going to play in the face of competition. Okay? Build up approaches in budgeting. Right? Budget for what is deemed necessary to attain your objectives. Right? Objective and task method, isolate your objectives, determine the task required, estimate your expenditure, you monitor, reevaluate your objectives. Right? And the advantage for this is the budget is driven by objectives to be obtained. But disadvantage of this is it's difficult to determine which tests will be required and the cost associated with each. Okay, so it's a build-up approach. Okay? In the objective and pass method, you go with the established objective and said, build a specific task, right, and then estimate the cost. Okay. Payout planning, build-up approach, right? The payout planning, it determines the investment value of advertising and promotion appropriation, your project revenue product will generate, as well as the cost, and you have better and logical approach to budget setting than top-down approach. That's called a payout planning method. Okay. So the example, 3-year payout plan. You have a year 1, year 2, year 3. This is your product sales. Okay. This is your profit contribution. Okay. This is your advertising promotions. This is your profit. This is your cumulative profit. Okay. So you may be losing some money, in the year 1, and year 2 less, and then year 3 you start to be profitable. Okay. Also, there are some quantitative models in setting up your budget. Quantitative models. You can use computer simulation models using statistical software to do that. That help determine the relative contribution of advertising budget to sales. Okay. There are some commercially available computer simulation tools that you can use. Okay. And also in successfully develop and implement the budget, you should employ a comprehensive strategy. You should develop strategic planning framework. Okay. You should build contingency plans always. Okay. You should also focus on long-term objective of the company, okay, and consistently evaluate the effectiveness to be successful. Okay. So how advertising and promotion budget are set? Again, you need to consider the nature of decision process. Your managers develop the overall marketing objective, and then financial projections are made on the basis of that objectives. Advertising promotion budgets are set on the basis of that. The budget is presented to senior management, and which will either approve and adjust the budget. The plan is implemented and plans evaluated. Okay? But also consider the factors affecting budget allocations, the extent to which the risk taking is encouraged or tolerated. Okay? And sophistication regarding use of marketing information, managerial judgment, use of quantitative tools affect your budget. Brand differentiation strategies, brand equity, the strength of a creative message, retail power, short versus long run focus, top-down influences, political sales force influences, historical inertia, and ad hoc changes all affect your budget allocation. Okay. Allocating budget. Okay. There are factors for you to consider. Allocating to AMC elements, different elements, right? You need to consider client agency policies, right? Size of the market, your market potential, your market share goals, economics of scale, and also your organizational characteristics. Okay. And also there's analytical analysis tool for you to use, right? It involves the shares voice effect and advertising spending, the priorities in different markets. Depending on the share of voice of your competitor. Your competitor's share of voice could be high or low, right? And your share of market could be low or high. Okay? If your share of market is low, their share of voice is high. Yeah. You should probably decrease your spending. Right? You find a defensible niche. This is not your niche yet. You find a defensible niche. Right? When your share is low, their voice is low. that's when you probably should attack with a large share voice premium, because there's opportunity here. Okay, if your share is high and their competitor's share of voice is low, because you already have a high share, you should maintain a modest spending premium. Don't spend too much. Okay, if your share is high and their voice is high, you probably should increase to defend your market position. Right? So this is a share voice effect and spending matrix that you can use to adjust your spending. Okay? I think that's all I have for this chapter. Okay, I will thank you. I'll talk to you next time.